lots more sunlight today and lots of pollen flying around the air too, as expected during these times of the year. And with that in mind, what did I read today? How about this one, where apparently in certain places they're actually putting out drone killing soldiers per se, I guess, to handle unwanted drones. This one says, drone killing soldiers join medieval Swiss Guard to patrol Pope's funeral. It says Italian special forces have deployed drone killing weapons to protect world leaders attending the Pope's funeral. Soldiers in combat uniform have been mobilized to St. Peter's Square to guard it from aerial terrorist attack. They will join the Swiss Guard, the Vatican's own army, which despite its appearance as a purely ceremonial force, undergoes rigorous military training. Pope Francis's funeral will take place on Saturday in the open air in front of St. Peter's Basilica. The world leaders, including Donald Trump, Sir Keir Starmer, and Volodymyr Zelensky, as well as dignitaries, among them the Prince of Wales, seated outside. In total, 170 national delegations are expected to attend, along with cardinals, other religious leaders, and as many as 1 million mourners. And as they say, the airspace is already restricted for anything like drones and so forth, and it says one soldier with permission from a superior allowed the Telegraph to take his photograph holding the device. The weapon, which looks like an enlarged machine gun, has no markings on it, and the soldier declined to say who had supplied it or where it was manufactured. The anti-drone gun, all black apart from a white plastic plate at the front end, weighs somewhere between 7 and 8 kilograms, said the soldier, and is about 1 meter long. It is a frequency jammer, explained the soldier, who stood in the cordoned off area to one side of St. Peter's Square. He was accompanied by another soldier with binoculars looking for UAVs flying in the vicinity and without permission. It is a drone killer. If we find a drone, we can jam the signal to the controller and force it to the ground. It drops straight to the ground. It is used by the Army and the Air Force. I'm actually curious if it will actually affect other devices as well, but either way, there will be a lot of people there. And with that thought, actually, as you know, in a lot of places they treat drones like any other aircraft. You can't just, quote, shoot it down. But how about this one, where apparently in Florida, they might make a law per se where people can, I guess, shoot down drones, if that's what you want to say. This one says, Florida lawmakers consider letting residents fight back against spying drones. When Kevin Purcell heard his dogs barking one quiet Sunday afternoon in Olga, he stepped outside to find something he wasn't expecting, a drone. At first I was like, what the heck is it, he said. The lights on it were so bright. His curiosity quickly turned into confusion. You're dumbfounded, he said. It's because they're so bright and there's so many of them, and it kind of throws you off and it makes you go look out to, you know, what is it? It's kind of interesting actually how the person specifically says there's so many of them. What is this, like another incident of New Jersey? It says, though the drone looked like a toy, it may not have been spying. But what if it was? That question is at the center of a Senate Bill 1422, a proposal currently under consideration in the Florida legislature. The bill seeks to add new restrictions clarifying existing rules and give homeowners the right to defend their privacy in the skies. The most talked about part of the bill is a section that would allow homeowners to use reasonable force to stop a drone conducting surveillance at an altitude of 500 feet or lower over their property. Under Florida Statute 934.50, it is unlawful to use a drone to capture images of privately owned property or the people on it with the intent to conduct surveillance without written consent, only if there's a reasonable expectation of privacy. However, Senate Bill 1422 aims to give homeowners more authority, not just to report, but to act if they believe their privacy is being violated. I highly doubt most people would be conducting some kind of surveillance operation like they say. So what's the technicality there? If someone's that paranoid and let's just say they take it down, could they just say, well, I thought it was doing surveillance operations on me? It says, critics say the reasonable force clause could be dangerous and misused, leading to unnecessary confrontations or shooting down drones, which is a federal offense. Garrick Heskett, who owns CG Media and uses drone for real estate photography, worries about how this law could impact drone operators who follow the rules. That I could easily see. Real estate agents, for example, or people using their drones to film real estate. Imagine like the neighbor just not liking it and just shooting it down and so forth. I would say overall, it's still just that notion on how the issue in general, it's the fact that they classify every single drone as some huge manned aircraft, for example. There's no clear distinction in terms of what people are using and how. Again, the best example is like the road and so forth. I mean, not everything is a car. Look at how many different types of things use the road every single day. It needs that type of common sense, in my opinion, so that if somebody is flying it right into your yard, let's just say they're zipping an FPV drone or something like that, like literally to harass the person, I mean, in my opinion, there should be nothing wrong with the guy's quote, I guess, taking the drone down in that sense if they're specifically harassing the person. But then at the same time, you shouldn't be able to just, for example, go up and destroy someone's drone or shoot it because you think it's spying on you per se. I would imagine in general there's already laws that would take care of stuff like that too, right? You know, like for example, let's just say somebody just decided to fire their gun at the drone randomly as well. And this was kind of interesting here, as I guess Air Canada lost a lawsuit of sort, which took a long time apparently. It says here, Air Canada ordered to pay over $10 million in fair transparency class action ruling. In a major win for consumers, the Quebec Court of Appeal has ordered Air Canada to pay more than $10 million in damages to passengers who were charged amounts that exceeded the prices advertised on the airline's website. The decision, released Tuesday, concluded a 15-year legal battle over fair transparency. Justice Judith Harvey, writing for the court, sharply criticized Air Canada's conduct, stating the airline demonstrated ignorance and laxity in assuming it was exempt from the Quebec Consumer Protection Act. The court's ruling reverses a lower court's earlier decision that, while acknowledging the breach of law, declined to award punitive damages due to a perceived lack of harm. And what the case was about in general, it says the class action lawsuit was originally brought forward by a Montreal resident and consumer advocacy group. The lead plaintiff said he was charged $124 more in taxes, surcharges, and fees than the ticket price shown during the initial setup of the booking process on Air Canada's website. The plaintiff alleged that the practice misled consumers and undermined their ability to make informed purchasing decisions, as the final cost of a flight only became clear at the end of the checkout process. Justice Harvey agreed, stating that such practices breach the transparency principles enshrined in Quebec's consumer law and that the company must be held accountable. I know that's the thing too, where apparently the consumer laws in Quebec are a lot stricter. For example, in a lot of places here, if there was, let's just say, a price error online for a product, or let's just say in a store, a lot of places here they could kind of get away with it and say, yeah, I'm not going to honor it, like it's an error clearly. Whereas in Quebec, apparently it's so harsh, you're going to have to honor it even if you lose, like for example, thousands of dollars like for that error. But yeah, this thing took a long time, huh? How many people would be willing to go through that, I guess, just to win? All right, see you guys later.